For example 11, we will be looking at dividing integers. Before we get into the actual problems though, we need to look at the relationship between multiplication and division. The relationship between multiplication and division is that they are inverse operations, or the reverse of each other. If you look at the first multiplication fact, 3 times 5 gave us 15. And our division fact that would go with that, we would just read it backwards. 15 divided by 5 gave us 3. So we started with this positive 3 times a positive 5 to give us a positive 15. We divided that positive 15 by a positive 5, and that gave us a positive 3. The next multiplication fact, you'll notice, starts with a positive 3, and we multiplied it by a negative 5, and we know that a positive times a negative gives us a negative 15. If we reverse this fact here, it would be a negative 15 divided by a negative 5, and we ended with a positive 3. So for the first two division facts, we had a positive divided by a positive gave us a positive, and a negative divided by a negative gave us a positive. When you divide with same signs, your quotient is always going to be a positive. So the same as it was for multiplication. When you multiply two integers with the same signs, or when you divide two integers with the same signs, your answer will be a positive. For the last two facts, we had a negative 3 times 5 gives us a negative 15. When we reverse that, it's a negative 15 divided by 5 gives us a negative 3. And then the last fact, for division, 15 divided by a negative 5 gave us a negative 3. You'll notice here that we divided with different signs. And when you divide or multiply two integers with different signs, your result will always be a negative. Now for the problems, we just want to look at our signs to determine whether our answer would be positive or negative. And again, it's important to remember another way that a division problem can be written or set up is as a fraction. So it's the top number, or the first number would go on top. So we could rewrite this as a negative 25 divided by a negative 5. And we should see that a negative divided by a negative is going to give us a positive. 25 divided by 5 gives us 5. So the answer to this expression here, negative 25 divided by a negative 5, gives us 5. For B, we had a negative 81 divided by 3. That is a negative divided by a positive. So the signs are different, which means our answer is going to be a negative. And then we could just divide 81 by 3. And if we're using long division, the first number goes in the box. We know that 3 goes into 8 twice. 2 times 3 is 6. That leaves us with a 2. We carry down the 1. 3 goes into 21 7 times evenly. We ended with 0, so we could stop. If we had a remainder, we could write it as a fraction, or we could figure out what the decimal would be. Negative 81 divided by 3 gave us a negative 27. And for C, we had 96 divided by a negative 4. Again, the signs are different. So we have two integers with different signs, which means our answer is going to be a negative. 4 goes into 9 twice. We're left with 16, and 4 goes into 16 4 times. So that leaves us with a negative 24 as our answer. We could also use division in real-world context problems. In this problem here, it says that a submarine descended or descends 720 feet in 6 minutes. We want to find the submarine's change in elevation per minute. So what we know is that a sub went down a total of 720 feet. We'll represent that integer as a negative because it said it descended 720 feet, and did that in a time of 6 minutes. What we could do is we could redraw that, and we could break this up into 6 sections. In each section, we could figure out what each section would be, and what we would be doing there, we would be dividing. So we are going to divide 720 by 6. We're breaking that 720 into 6 sections. And we divide 720 by 6. 6 goes into 7 one time. That leaves us with 12. It goes into 12 twice. And it cannot go into 0. So that is 120. That 120 represents a negative 120. So what that means is that it goes down 120 feet in 1 second. So to find the submarine's change in elevation per minute, we could say the submarine descended 120 feet per minute, or we could say the submarine decreased 120 feet per minute. The last thing that I want to look at is the difference between a division word problem and a multiplication word problem. The main difference, and this could be used to help determine whether you're going to multiply or divide. In the division problem, we're trying to find the change in elevation per minute. So if you're trying to find per minute, per second, per hour, each day, each second, each hour, anything like that that has per minute or each second, anything with that keyword per, each, for every, you're going to divide. If you look at the multiplication problem, we were given that information. In the multiplication problem, we were given that the price of a stock falls $2 each day. So we know that it falls $2 each day. So we're not going to try to find out how much it fell per day. We wanted to find out the total change. So when you're trying to find the total change, you're going to multiply the amount it costs per day, or the amount it goes down per day, whatever that rate is there, you would multiply by the total amount of days. In this problem up here with the division, we're trying to find the actual rate. So how much per how much? That is a little cheat you could use when you're looking at word problems to determine if you're going to divide or multiply.